Hi, Jonas. My first question is quite a simple one, and it's whether Jen Beattie, Vicky Schneiderbeck, or Tobin Heath were in the travelling squad for the game tomorrow.
None of them were. Still same issues as before that keep them from the squad. So just taking just a little bit longer than we thought it would. So both Jen and Tobin should be all right for the weekend coming up, and Vicky is obviously a little bit longer than that.
Fair. And I just wanted to ask you about obviously tomorrow's opponents, and I'm going to butcher the pronunciation again.
Give it a shot.
Yeah. I wanted to ask about, I'm sure you've had a chance to see, and definitely your analysts will have had a chance to see their game against Barcelona, where I think they were very unlucky to lose. And in the first half, they came out very aggressively and without fear. And I just wondered, I guess, whether that's fair warning to Arsenal and whether you're expecting the same tomorrow night.
I definitely expect kind of the same approach from them, because it is a team that very much prioritizes their defense and the counter-attacking, and that's the same in Champions League as it is when they play in their own league as well. So we see that the style of play is similar. Of course, we saw the game against Barcelona, and they were very compact. They threatened Barcelona on the counter-attack a couple of times. So obviously that's a warning for us, and also a signal for us that we need to play a strong game tomorrow.
And my final question is, I spoke to Frida Marnham yesterday, and I was talking to her about her signing for Arsenal, and she said that she didn't know that you were going to be the coach necessarily when she decided to sign for Arsenal. But I promise she said this. She said it was a nice surprise when it turned out to be you, and it turned out to be a coach that knew her so well from the Swedish league. How much is that reciprocated from your end? How much of a nice surprise was it to have Frida Marnham and a player you knew so well from the Swedish league? And what did you know about her before you started coaching her?
True story is when I signed for Arsenal, obviously one of the first things was that they asked me about which players I would have an interest in bringing in. And on central midfield, I gave them Frida Marnham, and then people start laughing, of course, because she's already signed. So that was, coincidence, of course. Things usually don't work out that well and nice, but in this case, it did. Now she was one of the real standout players in the Swedish league. You could really tell that she was ready to take the next step, and I think she has shown that as well, coming into the WSL and the Champions League, and been able to show a lot of her qualities already.
And sorry, I just want to follow up on that before I finish. I watched the game from the weekend back again, and her passing, like her long passing in terms of switching the point of play, was so strong. And I really thought it was probably her strongest performance for Arsenal, which is saying a lot because she set a high bar. How much do you encourage her in terms of that, particularly that switching the point of the play, that long crossfield passing?
I think it's very important when we play against compact team and they try to obviously move over and be compact around the ball, that we have a speed to our play that we can exploit the spaces where they not have bodies in a good way, and crossing the ball like Frida was doing. That was spot on from your point of view. That helps a lot in those situations, and obviously you need to have the vision to say when are you just doing it to switch play and when can we actually play in behind. I think our first goal on Sunday is a nice example of that, with the vision that it's needed, because there obviously Beth is running in behind instead. So you need to have scanned before, so you're aware of that, and we could hit that pass in. And even if we didn't score on that pass right away, we scored on the space that it created, and Kim could take advantage of that. So that really helps us.
Thanks, Jonas. Speak to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. We'll go to Asif Burhan, please.
Hi, Jonas. Hope you had a safe journey. First of all, building on Tim's question, in the last game, the Danish side managed to frustrate Barcelona for nearly an hour. So what did you learn from that game about the way you need to attack them and the patience you might need to show to them?
No, but we've had similar experience already this season about team being very compact in the defending and trying to hit us on the counter-attack. I mean, Brighton tried to do the same. Aston Villa tried to do the same against us, and Koge will try to do the same against us tomorrow. So it's about how we move the ball, how we position ourselves, our decision making, and it's not easy because it requires a lot to beat a compact defensive block, and don't get frustrated, don't take the wrong decisions to give away counter-attacking opportunities, always manage the positions behind the ball so you can counter press and you can keep on the attack and don't get exposed on the areas where they want to do. So it's and we know we have the ability to do it as well. It's all up to us to do it again tomorrow, and the only one that can control that is us.
And also, earlier today, Tobin Heath wasn't included in the US squad to play in Australia this month. Was that a discussion there that Gondelowski discussed with you to protect her fitness? And do you also expect her not to be included in January?
What was the final part of that question?
Do you also expect her to be rested for the January camp as well?
Is there a camp in January?
Yeah.
On FIFA dates?
No.
Of course, no player in Arsenal is going to be on any camp that is not on FIFA dates. That's not a discussion we even have with any of the national teams. But we play league football in January. There is the Asian Cup. It's FIFA dates, so we have to release players. But we're not going to release any player that is not on a FIFA date. So that's nothing to do with Tobin.
Okay, thanks. Best of luck tomorrow.
Thanks.
Thanks, Asif. We'll go to Alex, please. Alex Gatheta.
Hi, Jonas.
Hi.
Going off of what Tim said there about your opponents, how they, and you mentioned it too, how they kind of drop deeper and focus on the counterattack rather than putting the front foot right off the bat. What are you expecting from your team in particular?
I hope that we play with a lot of pace, that we move the ball quickly, that we force them to come out from their low block in order to put pressure onto us, which will open up spaces behind them, and that we have a lot of movement when they do that. So they need to take a lot of decisions in their defense in order if they're going to follow our runs or if they can stay high with their line. Yeah, that's what I hope to see.
And Tim stole one of my questions about having players that switch the ball really easily. I quite enjoyed Beth Mead's starting point, and when one of the balls, especially Leah Williamson, who is the player I'm going to ask about, she crossed the ball and you have Beth Mead running onto the ball rather than her receiving to feet, which obviously her 1v1s have been going really, really well this season. But some of the questions to Tim is about Frida there, but more about what Leah Williamson, who's able to switch that play, literally just beat all lines of players and just go to that winger. How important is that for a Jonas Eidevall team?
It's important for any team, to be honest. It's because sometimes what you can do, if you don't have good passes from your central defenders, of course, then you can drop off and say that they can have the ball, and we can just press the central midfield players, for example, when Arsenal try to progress and play there. But when the central defenders becomes a threat, like a player like Leah Williamson, like you said, if you give her time on the ball, she can beat a lot of lines with her passes. That means that as an opponent, you probably feel threatened by her having that ball in those areas. So you will step on to put pressure onto her, which will then obviously leave holes in their organization, which we can then play through. And that will, in order, also create more time and space for our midfield. that example. So no, I think it's fundamental, and I think if you don't have central defenders that can have that kind of threat in the build-up, then you become easier to play against.
Yeah, definitely. And last one from me. What is Arsenal's biggest priority in the Champions League right now? Of course, winning every single match would be the priority, but outside of that, what's your biggest focal point when going into these Champions League matches?
What else could it be than win? Like,
it could be on the pitch, off the pitch, whether it's a certain like trait you want to see in your players or certain things that you want to see on the pitch, goals.
For me, it's and what is so nice when you play in the Champions League is obviously you will play new teams. You travel to new cities, new countries, and you don't quite know exactly what to expect. And it's to embrace those moments as a team, to live them and to be consistent in your performances. And away games in Europe, it's never easy. It's going to be a home crowd tomorrow that's going to be very enthusiastic, just like there was against Barcelona. They're going to cheer on. The opponents are going to run like crazy to defend, and we need to be good, be patient, move the ball quickly, but don't stress. Focus on our performance like we always do, and I'm sure if we do that good enough, we will also get a result that we're happy.
Thank you, Jonas. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks.
Thanks, Alex. Go to Dan now, please.
Hey, Jonas. Hope you're well. You mentioned there about the counter-attack of Koge. I think one of their forward players is Kyra Carusa, who I believe plays alongside Katie McCabe for the Republic of Ireland. Have you been able to speak to Katie about the player, and I suppose what do you know about her?
No, we know about them because, of course, I lived in Sweden before I came here, but it's very close to Denmark, so I know a lot of Danish coaches here in the league as well. So of course I've spoken to them about the opposition. We have had our analysts watching a lot of games that they have played as well. So I think we have had we have a good view and understanding of both them as a team and on an individual basis. I haven't spoken. I think it's a good player, but you can see on the pictures what qualities she has.
I just wanted to ask you a little bit about clubs in Europe. I know in recent years, there always seems to be a Scandinavian club in the last 8 of the competition. But as we know, there's more and more money coming into the game. Obviously, the English game obviously got ambitions to be the best in the world. Do you think that Scandinavian clubs can kind of keep pace with, some of the other European clubs in other European nations? And do you think that, Scandinavian football can attract, good investment going forward?
I think it's a tricky question because it's different. I mean, it's on so many different levels. I still think when you see the Swedish league in particular, because it's the strongest league in Scandinavia, it's still a very good and competitive league, and it still attracts a lot of national team players from many different national teams. Of course, what you see now across Europe, but also with the NWSL and the leagues in Asia, is that the competition for quality players are starting to getting so intense. And I really think that there is a limit to that player pool, and obviously it will at some point come down also to finance, not only the other values in when the players choose their clubs. And there I think that the Scandinavian leagues will have a harder time to compete, because of obviously it's a little bit smaller markets for broadcasting revenue, and also from a fan base perspective, that there's still a lot of clubs like my former clubs in Sweden that is traditionally more a women's only football club, that they don't have the brand of a famous men's first team as well, and can help build each other from that perspective, which also makes the fan base, at least in Sweden, a little bit smaller. So I think the direction where it's going is it's bigger clubs getting involved. It's tougher competition for the best players, and even if you do a lot of things good in football aside stats, the most important thing is still to have the best players if you want to win some.
That's brilliant. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. Good luck for tomorrow night. Yeah.
Thanks, Dan. Finish off with George now.
Hi, Jonas. Thanks for your time. It's obviously been a really good start to life at Arsenal. I wondered, how sort of easy is it to kind of keep the players, so focused at the minute, and going ticking off each game by game, and looking ahead to this one, sort of making sure they don't sort of take their eye off the ball a little bit.
I don't think it's easy, because obviously that's where it requires a lot, both from the coaching staff and for the players, that we cannot get complacent, that we need to prepare up until every game that we play. And that's the difference between just saying something and doing something. If everyone would say that it's one game at a time and we need to be focused for every opponent, that's the easy things to say. The hard thing is to do. Because obviously the turnarounds are quick between the games, so it requires a lot of hours, and in that case it starts with us as a staff group to do that work. And if we fail in our preparations, then we give the signals to the players that it's not important, and then obviously we have that risk of getting that feeling into the squad. So far, we have been doing a very, very good job with that, but we need to continue, and we can't lower the standards. So it's hard work.
Well, you're doing a good job so far, and you've kind of made it clear that every game, every competition, you sort of see it as a chance to win. Looking at your squad and thinking about the kind of goals and how well they've been shared around, do you feel like you've got the squad that can compete in a number of different competitions as you go deeper into the season?
I think so. That's the belief I have in the squad. I think so far during the season we have shown that we have been able to win with a lot of different players on the pitch, which have been a strength as well. And like I said, it's one game at a time, but I have a big belief in this squad, and I feel like we can beat any opponent that we are playing. So that's always a very nice feeling going into the game.